Get stoked, guys, because this episode is about one of the largest freshwater turtles in the world. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode. This one's going to be a lot of fun because it's all about alligator snapping turtles. As a kid growing up, I always thought it would be amazing to be able to house these guys one day, and I always would have loved to have a large pair of them, and that finally happened, but I always said I would not house them unless I could set them up properly. Well, I'm finally able to do that. The turtles are here. It's an adult pair that needed a new home, and I'm super excited to share with everybody how this pond behind me came about. Alligator snapping turtles are, just unbelievably impressive. They're one of the heaviest turtles in the world and heaviest freshwater turtle, and they're also the largest freshwater turtle in the United States. I'm not sure what the record is. I've heard a lot of different opinions about that, over 200 pounds or just at 200 pounds. Ours are between 70 and 100, very large animals, and obviously they can live for what seems like forever. Some of these turtles are just absolutely ancient, and what's amazing about them is not only are they now broken down into actual species based on their genetic makeup and the river systems they occur in, and also some of the morphology to them can actually be noted to differentiate them. But the things that they've evolved to do, like if you've watched any of those famous animal shows where they show how the alligator snapping turtle can blend in and look just like a log, they also have a lure on the end of their tongue that can be made to look like a worm. So this behavior is apparently more common in hatchlings and juveniles, and not so much in adults, according to Greg Brashear and some other people that I've spoken to about the species. But any given animal will lay on the bottom of the river or creek, open the mouth, and just sit there motionless while that little lure moves. And then a fish comes in thinking that it is an actual worm, and then boom, that's it. Bye-bye fish. So they're a very primitive animal, incredible, absolutely impressive. Despite the fact that they can lay motionless at the bottom of a lake or pond or a river, they're animals that do move. They can move around at different times of the day, even at night, and they'll forage and hunt. They're not always just sitting still. And that's one of the reasons why I don't want to keep them in a tub. I want them to be in a nice large pond with some flowing water that they can just enjoy somewhat of a natural life in. Just really... just fantastic creatures, really. Luckily, the spot that we chose to dig the pond was not terribly hard to excavate, and this is all thanks to the natural substrate that we have down here. It's very sandy and we didn't hit too many roots. Still, it's a very large body of water for some huge turtles, so it was a bit of a task. So it took us about a day to dig the pond. We split it up into 2 half days. My brother-in-law was generous enough to help me out with it. And it's about 18 feet long, 14 feet wide, 4 feet deep in the center, and the rest is between 2 and 3 feet deep, but it gradually slopes up on either end so that the turtles can bask in shallow water, which they like to do at times. So we've got the rock delivered. This is Pennsylvania fieldstone. I got 2 full pallets of it delivered. And you can get this from garden centers, and it's really nice stuff. It's naturalistic looking, and it really adds some aesthetic appeal to any turtle or tortoise enclosure, really. And what this is going to do is it's going to line the pond liner that's going to go into the pond. So I've got my pond liner here. It's a 20 by 25 feet. It's 45 mil, which is super strong stuff. And I wouldn't recommend doing like a 20 mil thickness when it comes to pond liner for such a big, powerful turtle like alligator snapping turtles. Their claws aren't that sharp, but they are very powerful, and they're big, obviously. They've got like bare feet, So we also have an underlayment here, which is going to go in first. Then the liner will go on top of that, and then we're gonna line the whole thing with this stone with gravel and sand in between. And I wanna give a shout out to Greg Brashear from Greg's Turtle Haven. Greg is an absolute wealth of knowledge when it comes to alligator snapping turtles and some other species. And he was gracious enough to walk me through this process because I've only experienced alligator snappers briefly in my past where I've had some smaller ones. But never a large adult pair like these guys. So we're gonna get going with this and hopefully get these guys in soon, because right now they're just sitting in tubs and they can barely turn around in them. So it's only fair to get these guys into a nice big naturalistic enclosure as soon as possible. With the hole itself complete, I can now put in this, which is the underliner. This goes in first before the actual pond liner, and it's to further protect the pond from getting punctured by things like roots from trees. It's basically a hardcore hardware cloth. Then the actual 45 mil pond liner that will hold the water goes in second on top of the underliner. It's gonna be a mess. You've gotta work out the kinks and the folded areas and cut off the excess, but don't cut off the excess until you see where the water line and level lands. This way you don't have to worry about water spilling underneath the liner and just creating a muddy mess everywhere. You want it to be neat. This way it makes more room for the animals. So I've been lining this liner with all this Pennsylvania fieldstone, tearing it, making sure it fits kind of like a puzzle, which obviously it's not perfectly going to be that way. But I'm getting there, and it makes, you know, for easy ways for the turtles to get up to the surface, even though this pond isn't so deep that the alligator snapping turtles would have much of a hard time getting to the surface. But better to be safe than sorry. And again, this fieldstone is going to help prevent punctures in the liners. You know, it's not, you know, we're not sure if the snapping turtles are actually that capable of puncturing them. But again, these things have like bear paws, huge claws. And better to be safe than sorry, because trying to find a leak in something like this or having to fix it later on would just be an absolute nightmare. And as you can see, we've got enough projects going on here with these animals to have to take a step backwards at all. So I'm gonna finish up getting all this stone in, trying to cover as much of the liner as I can, and then the next step is gonna cover even more of the liner and kind of glue things together. Fortunately, Dad was able to come down and give me a hand fine-tuning this thing, and the next step is what really started making things come together. We got some bags of Portland cement, mixed it with some of the natural sand that we excavated when we dug the pond, and we started spreading this dry all in between the crevices of all the Pennsylvania fieldstone that I laid out to cover this liner. Now, big plus here, you all know I love naturalistic looking enclosures and ponds, so this helps hide every single last ounce of exposed liner. And that's a must for me. I can't stand seeing exposed liner at all. It's just a reminder that it's not real. It's something that I built. So this Portland cement mix with the sand starts hiding the liner, and then all we do once we've spread it enough and covered every nook and cranny is we start spraying it down with water. You can see here it's still dry as it's been spread, but you can see there's really no exposed liner anymore. It looks great. Now you might be thinking this might be too rocky for snapping turtles because they like to hide in mud and muck, but again, this is just not only for aesthetic appeal, it's to cover the liner so the turtles can't damage it in any way. So we just spray it down now with some water, let it harden overnight, and then we'll probably spray it a couple more times, get some natural rain on it, and then that's it. This stuff will be fused, cemented, glued together. There's no breaking it apart. If there are any loose pieces, we can fix them before we start filling the pond up with water and getting the turtles in. And just look at it. It looks like a zoo exhibit. This is Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi is the female alligator snapping turtle that belongs to our pair, and she is considerably smaller than Chum, our male. Some of you might be used to hearing that female turtle or tortoise species are larger than the males, and that is the case with a lot of different types. But when it comes to alligator snapping turtles and even some other types of turtles, like say, take North American wood turtles for example, the males are in fact the larger of the sexes. Now, Chi-Chi's shell is about 16 inches long, while Chum's is about 24, 25 inches long. So it is a considerable difference, but fear not, that's normal. It's the way it's supposed to be. And these two should do just fine. So when it comes to diet, unfortunately, Chum and Chi-Chi have not been fed an appropriate diet for a very long time. Certain things like rodents and chicken and beef Dog food and cat food, or an overabundance of commercial turtle pellets are often what people feed this species in captivity, and that's really not what you should be doing. Those things are okay occasionally, but Chum and Chi-Chi are going to get a diet that is comprised mainly of fish, whole fish, and crustaceans, clams, snails, crabs, and we're going to get them back into shape. As you can see, Chi-Chi is a little bit on the heavy side. And, you know, we just want these guys to be healthy and to be able to live as natural of a life as possible in this big pond here, outdoors year-round. So, there you have it. Chum and Chi-Chi, the alligator snapping turtles of Garden State Tortoise. Alligator snapping turtles are heavy and huge, so it's a little bit of a challenge trying to hop over a 2-foot wall to get the turtles in the pond without injuring the turtle or myself by possibly getting bit. So my buddy Scott Hendrickson here helped me simply lower them into the pond on a board. This is the male going in, and it went very well.
Oh, that was good. Perfect.
Yeah, that was perfect.
He didn't even take a hard fall.
There it goes. That's what I wanted to see.
Looks happy.
All right. It was super crucial for me to get these turtles in immediately because they had been sitting for so long in less than optimal conditions. So the pond here is not done yet. The walls of the enclosure are actually 30 inches tall with a 10-inch lip on top. They're made out of the same pressure-treated planks that I use other enclosures. Now, the tall walls and the lip are to further prevent escapes. Even though alligator snapping turtles are peaceful animals and they rarely leave the water except for females laying eggs, you don't want to have an accident with a neighbor, a child, a pet, whatever. Their bite force is incredible, so just make sure that they stay secure, and that's what you should do with any animal. Now that we're adding aesthetics to the pond, you can see that it's starting to come together. The grasses and oaks at the back will come in fuller every year. And the water now has a lot of sediment at the bottom. We threw a lot of the natural earth back in to give the turtles some security so that they're not just sitting on rock. A 2,000 gallon per hour submersible pond pump pumps the water through tubing, and I actually fit it to come out of this hollowed out log. It's the dead base of an Atlantic white cedar, and it just so happened to work out, and it looks naturalistic. Logs across the corners of the pond help to offer the turtles some shade, and we're going to be adding some aquatic life, mainly water hyacinth and water lettuce, because they filtrate the pond, and that's what you want. Water lilies also work, so do parrot's feather. Naturalistic ponds that are biological need some kind of filtration, and ponds are great for that. The turtles are doing fantastic in here, and I am just loving the way this pond came out, and I can't wait to see it mature. Believe me, I'm gonna show it off to you guys. Despite their menacing look and that huge size with such a powerful bite, alligator snapping turtles are a peaceful species. They're not out to hurt anybody or anything except the prey that they need to eat to survive. However, breeding between a male and a female can be pretty intense. So, of course, we have to be prepared at any given time to separate Chi-Chi and Chum in case Chum starts getting out of control. This species obviously is well equipped to deal with these kinds of things, and there is an ample amount of space in this pond. However, this is not nature, and the turtles cannot fully escape each other if need be. So, should that issue arise, we of course will separate them and make sure that everything is safe before they go back together again. So there you go. Another brand new project in the bag, alligator snapping turtle pond. I'm super excited for this one, but then again, I'm excited for everything that we do here. I always wanted big alligator snapping turtles, like I said in the beginning of this video, but I didn't want to do it until I could offer them what they need. So being able to do that is, it's very heartwarming. And I'm really excited to see some naturalistic behavior with these guys. I'm gonna monitor them closely over the winter. Luckily, with our milder winters here, we do have a lot of success with some turtle species that normally come from Florida or the southern portion of the United States already. To name a few, Florida box turtles, Gulf Coast box turtles, three-striped mud turtles, razorback musk turtles. We get to leave them outside for the winter, and everybody does great. We never lost anyone. So luckily, the alligator snapping turtle's natural range does go pretty far north, so they can handle some cold. So I think they're gonna do fine. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, for the support. I'm gonna keep doing these videos for you as much as I can. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Tell everybody about these videos. I just want to share as much information about these amazing animals as I can with the world. So I will see you in the next episode.